A recent flurry or uptick of COVID cases throughout the United Kingdom and specifically in the Premier League have people concerned, have people worried that the Premier League season may A, be interrupted, B, postponed, or worse. The Premier League was asked about this. They say have full confidence it will continue. The numbers suggest that there should be alarms ringing throughout. We learned this lesson, obviously, in February with COVID and held our breath to see what would happen. And the leagues did an incredible job. Athletes did an incredible job to get most of the seasons completed and now restarted across the board. But what's happening now is scary. Since between December 21st and December 27th, 18 positive tests in infections are rising throughout the United Kingdom. And in particular with a couple clubs in the Premier League forcing postponements of games. Let's start with Manchester City because this is bananas. It's been going on for some time. And if you really look at the flippancy from the Manchester City players about COVID, and let me preface this first. I am no angel. I've sat here and quarantined in COVID, but there are moments I go and do things outdoors safely, or I'll have dinner with someone outside of my household. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and lecture everyone because I've been far from perfect, but I've always been pretty careful. But when you see these videos or these photos of these players getting caught in parties, they're in parties of 30 people. They're in groups of folks. They're sweating up a storm in a disco or a party indoors. I say it's difficult to go from 0 to 100, but you can do things and be careful. You're all adults. But Manchester City, going back to Phil Foden in Iceland, remember on international duty, Kyle Walker and allegedly with these call girls. There was reports of, parties or girls being shipped in. There was an Instagram model from Italy in one case involving players. Now a flurry of COVID cases. Kyle Walker, Gabriel Jesus around Christmas Day, and now the reports of Benjamin Mendy, New Year's party, and 6 players unavailable for Man City for Chelsea, a game that they won. And you really have to sit there and be stunned that they were able to actually play because the rule of thumb, if you have the COVID around the key players, the game gets postponed. But this game went on. But the Man City stuff, it really, to me, it's like, we're going to do it. And right now, they look like the best team in England after that Chelsea win. Right now in 4th, 4 points off the pace. They have to be concerned because now they have a game to make up. And their schedule is slammed. They're still in the Carabao Cup. They're in the semifinals. They are in the FA Cup. They are in the Champions League. I mean, where do you put these games? And you can't really put them on the back end like last year. We have the Euro 2020, or Euro 2021s as I'm going to call it. You have it starting June the 11th. And then everything World Cup qualifying, it is saturated. So you can't really push these games. So while the Premier League says it's not going to affect it, it's going to be compromised. Maybe not everyone plays the same amount of games. And if you've looked at the Premier League table, it's as close as it's ever been. There's like 8 teams in it right now that have a shot to win it. Maybe not 8, but they're still there. We're into January. This is where people fall off, and they're all still there. A couple games we mentioned with Fulham, there were also positive tests, so their game at Burnley and then a game against Spurs. So there was an outbreak there. And there is the problem because it affects Fulham. All right, you got to get the games for Fulham, but now you got to get a game for Tottenham Hotspur. You got to get a game for Burnley. It all is significant. And now you've got a real problem because this is, you're pushed to this point. But if you go to the breaking point, then you have to take drastic measures. If there were 4 clubs instead of 2, if it was Man City, Fulham, and a couple more, oh boy, because it was 2 clubs, and now you have like 5 clubs or 6 clubs, their schedules affected by this. So I have some doubts, to be quite frank, and even if they complete the season, I think they're going to have asterisks, question marks at the end as to how they reach the end because it's going to be a close race. I don't want to just pick on the Premier League. In Italy, the Serie A, Napoli had injured the Nigerian winger, really good player, Victor Osimhen, and he's been out due to injury for international duty. Gennaro Gattuso in Napoli gave him the blessings. When he came back from injury, he said, could I go back home for the holidays. When he comes back, he has a positive COVID test. There's video where he's around a lot of people. You figured there'd be some goodwill after the whole injury situation. Napoli are in fourth in the Serie A now. They have to deal with this. At the end of the day, you just wish all this was getting better. And it's not just getting worse for athletes, it's getting worse for all of us. I live in California. I don't know what to tell you. But if there are some teams that are having a clean bill of health, week in, week out with no positive tests, then that's the standard that you have to set. There could be some outliers, but in the case of Man City, if we have more of that, we have a big problem. Hold your breath, because these games have to be played. Follow the Soccer OG. Subscribe today. Do yourself a favor.